Howdy guys, Brian Brushwood, and I'm joining Aussie Tech Heads, and I talk a lot, and I ramble, and I maybe shape hearts and minds, but probably not. I do a magic trick, though. It's a good magic trick.
Welcome once again, Tech Headers. It is episode 336 of Aussie Tech Heads, and tonight, recorded in April, day 11, 2013. And with us tonight, we've got the usual crew, minus one, of course, is Eric. He's still on leave. And we've got Shane and Will. Hello, Shane and Will. How you going?
Good evening.
Hello.
Now, big show tonight. I'm not sure how long we're going to go for, but we'll try and keep it close to the hour as much as possible. But I've got a few stories and so forth. But first of all, thanks to the guys in the lounge that join us every week at aussietechheads.com.au/live from 7:30 p.m. Queensland time, which now is also New South Wales, Victoria and Tasmanian time. So welcome to all those guys that have come back to join us from an hour in front. I think daylight savings finished all around the place. So everyone, make sure you get your times right. It's all on the webpage if you want to know what time it starts in your time zone. Thanks to, had a lot of feedback about the Shoutcast Radio, aussietechheads.com.au/radio. We've got a few shows on there now. What have we got on there? I've got a list of them here. We've got the Ozdroid podcast. We've got the Geek Sphere from New Zealand. Eye Blind Tech by Garth. The Den, Mark's The Den, which is not a tech show, but it's just put in there for some variety. And the Boys of Tech, another New Zealand show. And apparently those guys over there, Boys of Tech, longest New Zealand tech running podcast. So good on you, boys. Hello. And Tech Webcast. They're all bundled up there onto the Aussie Tech Heads radio, Shoutcast Radio. If you want instructions on how you can listen to it, just jump on, go to that webpage I just said, and away you go. Now also web hosting. We also provide web hosting just for you guys. If you want fast, affordable, and Aussie servers, fast Aussie servers, jump into aussietechheads.com.au/hosting and get yourself some hosting economy plans, which will start at $5.95. The most popular one is probably the starter plan, which is $6.95 a month. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. So give it a go. 200 scripts of installation stuff. You know, WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, whatever you want. It's all there. Lime Survey, everything. It's all there. All right. So let's have a chat to. Where's Will gone? Will's vanished. He's left the studio. There he is. What have you been up to? What have you been up to, Will?
Oh, just, the usual, nothing special, just trying to, rest up my computer 15 times so that a high-quality Microsoft webcam will actually work.
Good stuff,
Yeah, no, not a lot. Just the basics. Actually, hang on, I'm just trying to set my curtains on fire.
Okay, well, we'll find out what changed.
That's all good. I just had my spotlight behind the curtain, and I forgot I had the curtain closed, so the smoke started coming out of the curtain.
Oh, no. Well, that wouldn't be the first time smoke's been in your room. The computer blew up.
My computer blew up a couple months ago. Trying to set up a media center last night, a Linux MCE media center, and had it all up and running and pressed the power button, and the power supply blew up. And
there you go.
So things love blowing up in this place.
Flames aplenty. Now, look, for those of you on the video, apologise for my video quality. It looks like I'm bald, so apologies for that. There you go. See, I tilt my head. I'm not really bald, but it looks like it. All right. Now, we've got a big show, as I said at the top. We've got an interview now. We're going to find out who Shane has been interviewing, and we're going to talk to Shane right now. Shane, who you been interviewing lately? Who you got for us tonight?
I think we've got Brian Brushwood up tonight, the magician. And just in case anyone was interested on how my week's been, it's been good. We've got crazy weather over here at the moment. It's like the last couple of days have been high 30s, and at the moment it's peeing down with rain. So
okay.
The weather can't sort itself out.
You do have a mixture of everything, and you've got boat people arriving on your doorstep over there. You've got everything going on, haven't you? How do they get
welcoming?
How do they get confused with Perth and New Zealand? They just think, that looks like a west coast of something. We'll go in there. But they
were heading south, I suppose. They probably just head south a little bit too early.
What did they want to go? All the way around? Well, that'd be the long way. Yeah, who knows? Anyway,
no, I think what was happening is they were heading to New Zealand, but instead of going around the top of Australia and then down, they kind of
Missed it.
turned south a little bit too quick.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, anyway, maybe they're listening.
It's a visual thing. You probably need a map.
Maybe they're listening. I hope you guys are. How's going? All right, now getting back to the interview. We're going to play this first off because I don't know, we feel like it because it's another great interview, Shane. So Brian Brushwood. Now he's what made you want to interview Brian? You followed him for a little while.
No, it's just that everyone else said no. No, basically, I have been a fan of his. The underlying theme, I guess, with the first lot of interviews is all around podcasting, why different people do it, to try and also let all our listeners know and our viewers know how potentially easy it is, the benefits of it, depending on, not just from a tech point of view, but like tonight, I mean, Brian uses it mainly for his magic show and to promote that. And really, Brian doesn't do any tech shows. Even with NSFW, that's not a tech show. Scam School's not a tech show. And Frame Rate, that's probably as close to a tech show as he gets.
Now, to be quite honest, like I've obviously heard of Brian, but I've never actually watched the Scam School. And I watched it after I saw the interview that you did with him. I watched the Scam School. I love it. I want to watch them all. Like I love the tricks and stuff that he teaches you. I watched one with the matchstick and poking two sticks together. Like that was great.
I have done that. I've been known for doing that. I won't watch his stuff for a while, then I'll sit down and watch like 30 shows back to back all of a sudden, and you're like, man. And the problem is, you doing that, you don't remember any of them. So then you go, have I seen this? And you go back and watch them all again.
That's right. But also right at the end of the show, which we don't have tonight because it's at the end of the interview, which goes for about 40 minutes. But we've got the first about 20 minutes for you tonight. And after the show airs live tonight, we're going to post the whole interview up on the webpage. But there is a magic trick right at the end, and I'll tell you, it is fantastic. Shane thought it was fantastic, and I still think it's fantastic. I've slowed it down frame by frame. I can't work out how he does it. Fantastic. So, all right. So, anything else to say, Shane, before we go to your interview, or we'll just
just
get straight in there. All right, roll camera. Here we go. Hope it all works.
Johnston from Aussie Tech Heads. I'm here to conduct another interview as part of our interview series. This week, I'm joined by world-renowned magician, comedian, all-round nice guy, Brian Brushwood. Thanks for joining us, Brian.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. How I plan on this interview going is just more of like an informal chat. And the underlying theme is going to be all about podcasting, who you are, how you got your start, and hopefully we can kind of deliver it in a way that will encourage other people to get into it. It's a great medium. It's a way of the future, and it's good. So
No, absolutely. I mean, in fact, that's one of the things that attracted me to podcasting to begin with, is the idea that it's the Wild West, and there's nobody to tell you what the rules are. You don't even know who's in charge, because it's the Oklahoma land grab, and everyone's just running out and setting up their own franchises left and right. And it's only, here we are 7-8 years into it, and you're finally starting to see old media figure it out and start to play catch up here. But meanwhile, it's all these first movers who have nabbed all the prime real estate in people's minds.
Yeah, that's true. So we'll start by sort of delving into you as a person and a bit about your background based on the research I've done. So I'm hoping that your Wikipedia page is kind of accurate and up to date. Otherwise,
close enough. Who cares?
I mean, we'll make it up.
I do that thing.
All right. So, like I said, according to what I found out about you, you've grown up in a number of places. There's been California, Colorado, Texas, Norway for some reason. That kind of came in from left wing.
Year and a half. My dad was in the oil business, so we moved from California to Texas, and then he helped with some of the shale gas efforts in Colorado, and then what do they call it, offshore drilling in Norway, and it was a lot of fun. It was a good experience, and it got me in a frame of mind at an early age of constantly introducing myself to new people, which I think definitely contributed to the lifestyle I have now.
Excellent. Okay. So did you pick up any of the language while you were over there?
Yes, I learned Unnskyld, jeg forstår ikke. Kunne du det en gang tid? I probably massacred that, which is, excuse me, I don't understand. Could you say that again? And I figured that's all I needed to know.
Usually people learn all the swear words first.
Yeah, no, I actually don't even remember the swear words, sadly.
Excellent. Okay, so you then obviously went to university and you did a program that was called the Plan 2 Honours Program. Do you want to explain a bit about that?
Well, it was like a college within the college. University of Texas, depending on what year it is is either the biggest or one of the biggest universities in the entire United States. Back when I went, it was like 55,000 people or so. And what the Plan 2 program is a highly selective liberal arts program. The year I got in, they had over 1,200 applications, and they only took 180 students. And the first couple of years, they tell you, take these histories, these maths, these sciences. And the last 2 years, you take whatever is related to your thesis. And so I somehow talked my way into doing a magic show as a creative writing thesis. So the whole last 2 years of college, I took, history of witchcraft, languages of science fiction, pseudoscience and the paranormal. It was really pretty rad.
Oh, wow. Wish they had that sort of stuff over here. All we have is kind of like your humanities and then, your more kind of core subjects and sciences and engineering. So, that'd be good. All right, so the program covers obviously a wide range of subjects. Just to delve into the program a bit more, which ones of those kind of did you excel in?
Are you talking about back at college?
Yeah, the Plan 2 program again.
I mean, you know what? I got to be honest. The whole time I was in college, I thought I was pulling a fast one on the university. I was just like, it's like my thesis was a magic show, so I'd go off, I'd do a show on the street and record it and hand it to my advisor, say, here's the show I'm doing. And I thought the whole time, like, look at me, I'm pulling a fast one on the university. But strangely, 3 years later, I quit my day job, and I was one of the few people who I knew who was actually working within their actual field of study. So somehow it turns out that I guess they got the last laugh on me, and instead I got a good education in something that turned out to be useful.
What was the day job that you actually quit from, out of curiosity?
I did a few things. I did a little bit of 3D modeling and animation. I tested video games for a year. That was fun. And then I spent 2 years at Dell doing high-end recommendations for, whenever one of the sales reps would get in over their head, I would jump in and, help them design, whether it was design a network for an ISP or a high-end workstation for a 3D modeler or a high-end gamer, that kind of stuff. As far as working for the man goes, it was a pretty good gig, but just what happened was they gave me a raise, and all of a sudden it hit me. I was like, oh, this is how it happens. This is how you get stuck doing something you hate for the rest of your life, is the money just gets too good. So as a direct result of that raise, I was like, I'm going to get this out of my system. I'm going to be done with this magic bug. And so I quit, and they said, I might be back in a year. And they're like, see you in a year, Brushwood. And instead, a year later, the dot-com bubble had burst, and I was on the Tonight Show. So that seemed to be like an okay way for things to go.
Yeah, it sounds like you kind of landed on your feet and it all worked out for you, which is good.
Yeah.
So, well, that's something interesting, because I didn't realise, because that was going to be kind of one of my questions, I didn't realise that you actually had so much of a technical background. I thought you were more kind of, and this still could be the case, I thought you might have been more coming from a media background and doing all your camera work that you do and stuff.
No. Yeah, it's the funniest thing. When I was working at Dell, and weirdly, even when I was testing video games, at some point it started to feel like work. It's like you play video games all day and you come home, and so magic was my hobby. That was the other thing I did. And then once I quit my day job and magic became the job, all of a sudden my interests flipped, and all of a sudden magic was the thing I had to do and get good at. But for professional reasons, and it was technology became my hobby and the thing that I love to do.
Okay, excellent. All right, so moving on. The next thing that I kind of wanted to cover or ask you about, and this is kind of a question that I ask a lot of my subjects or interviewees, especially with those like yourself who's done a number of things and currently does a lot of things. You're a magician, you're a comedian, you do apparently you do the lecture circuit, you do podcasting. What do you actually put down as your occupation on government forms?
Man, entertainer. There you go. How about that? It's tough because if you asked me 7 years, what do I do? The answer was very simple. I tour colleges performing this outrageous magic show. And, it's got fire eating, escapes, mind reading. I break 30-pound bricks over my head. I stick a small nail in one eye, pop it out the other eye. Like, that's who I was. I was that one thing. And then, then I wrote a lecture because I went to so many universities that after the show they would ask, well, what do you think about this guy who claims to have psychic powers? And I'm like, well, as a magician, you know a little bit more about how these tricks work. And so I ended up putting together a formal 80-minute lecture called Scam, Sasquatch, and the Supernatural. And then things really got mushy once I started doing Scam School because, then I didn't know, how do I introduce myself? I guess, at that point I still thought I was a magician who happened to host a web show. But really, this past year is when things have kind of pivoted because it's just gotten so deep now. My time goes to writing all these books. We wrote Scam School Book 1 and 2, and we're halfway through Book 3. Right now we got the 5 different podcasts that I do. We get Scam School, NSFW, Frame Rate, the Weird Things podcast, and more. And then, oh yeah, by the way, I also kind of make my living touring around doing live stage shows at colleges. So I don't know the answer right now. Let's say internet personality, or I guess at the core, I'm still just a magic dork. I'm still a magician who does a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, okay. Well, that was actually going to be one of my questions. I was going to sort of ask you, are you a magician that does this other stuff, or are you a comedian that can do magic tricks? So it sounds like you're more the magician first.
No, well, I mean, that's what I self-identify at. But like my stage show, I don't tell a single joke. Like I don't set up punchline for anything the entire way through. But there's so much situational humor that I don't think there's more than 30 seconds in a row where there's not a laugh break of some variety. It's almost like the entire show is this unending buildup of tension for the danger that's about to happen, followed by the release of some kind of surprise. I read some book a while ago where an anthropologist said, we laugh in 2 situations. We laugh when we are surprised, and we laugh when we feel superior. And when I first read that, I'm like, that's a lie. That can't be true. But for the next year, every time I laughed, I checked. And I was like, oh, no, I feel superior. That's hilarious because that dude fell down. Or that was definitely a surprise. That's why I'm laughing. And so I think that's the kind of humor that you'd find in my stage show.
Okay, cool. You're preempting on my questions. It's good because I was going to ask you about what sort of comedy you do. Just one other question about the comedy itself, even though you're the magician first, and it just happens to be topical at the moment. I don't know if you're aware of it, but Joan Rivers recently got herself in hot water because she made some sort of reference to the Holocaust. Where do you kind of draw the line when it comes to comedy?
Oh, I mean, it all boils down to what's your audience and how comfortable do you want to go. My co-host on NSFW, Justin Robert Young, he and I have found it to be a really good exercise to try to be well behaved on the Twit network because, of course, Twit is a tech news network and they want the language to be family appropriate. So we have to curb our natural instincts to go certain places, which only inspires us to be more creative as a result. Theoretically, it was a very difficult exercise to get down, but once we did, it's been a very, very good experience.
Okay, yeah, cool. Again, and this I'll ask this kind of more later about the Twit network and how the show fits in, and also the other work that you do on other networks. But I want to kind of just keep going with the sort of questions about you as a person. So
sure.
The next one that I was going to ask you was, right, so shows, okay, I just want to kind of give you a bit of background with the next kind of little section. Mm-hmm. Magicians themselves, especially in Australia, are really popular at the moment. We've got, I don't know if you've got the same shows in America, like America's Got Talent. We've got an equivalent of Australia's Got Talent. The last couple of shows, or last couple of seasons, a magician's either won it or kind of made the final. We've also got TV shows like there's one on how amateur magicians come in front of a magician like Penn and Teller, and then they have to fool Penn and Teller and if they can, then they get to go on the Las Vegas show. So there's that. We've also got a guy called, I don't know if you've heard of him, from England, called Dynamo.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, a friend of mine is one of the primary consultants on that show.
Oh, right. Okay. So he's actually got his own, as you know, his own TV series, and we get that over here as well. So magicians are fairly big. The other types of shows we get around magicians is the ones where they actually reveal the secrets. Now, I know with Scam School, I mean, you did the little card tricks and the whole thing with, I remember seeing one where you had the salt and pepper shaker, I think it was, on the table, and then you slammed it through the table, and you end up you end up showing people how to do the trick. How do you feel about these other shows that actually show people how to do the bigger tricks, like how to make audiences disappear and trucks disappear and so on?
Well, what makes it right or wrong to me is not the size of the trick that's being explained. It's the context. There's a difference between, and this is a discussion that, especially when Scam School launched, we had with a lot of magicians, is what is the difference between teaching a trick versus what magicians call exposure, which is basically ruining magic. And to me, it's very clear and simple. If by the time I'm done talking, you can do the trick and you do the trick, then clearly I was teaching you. But if by the time I'm done talking, all I've done is satisfy your curiosity as to how it's done, and that you can't do it, which is, side effect, all these giant props and all this stuff. Nobody's going to run out and build those after watching one of these episodes. They're just having the itch scratched. And that is something that takes away the wonder for the magicians. I mean, it doesn't matter how I feel. I mean, I think the real crime on those shows is that they tell a lie. The lie being that magic is about the tricks or the mechanics, that magic is in the props. That ain't magic. Magic is in the entertainment. It's in that moment of wonder. It's in that moment of total WTF. Like I just don't see how what is happening could possibly be happening. And when they just the snide, smug attitude of like, oh, it's just a trick. And you'll notice in Scam School, everything is highly, highly respectful of magic and of magicians. And I want people to understand the difficulty and context that goes into these. And that's why you'll notice every Scam School has 3 segments. There's the trick where hopefully I fool them, the explanation where we walk through and we give a complete and thorough explanation of everything. And then finally, the most important block is the C block, where they perform the trick to make sure that the lesson is totally sunk in and to prove that they're able to get it down. I'm very, very much interested in making more magicians, and the masked magician stuff, I don't think really, it doesn't claim to be in the interest of making more magicians. Their stated goal is to take away the wonder and instead show you, a fat dude getting out of a box, like not nearly as good as whatever fantasy you had in your mind.
Yeah, I do think you've got the balance right, because I've seen a few episodes of Scam School and I went, oh yeah, that's handy to know. But then when I've seen these other shows where it's things like that, there's the typical one where it's sawing the lady in half. She's skinny, she can kind of bend up, get out the way of the saw, and when they kind of let you know that that's how it's done, I do end up with a feeling of, oh really? That's all there is to it?
Well, that's the saying is magicians are guarding an empty vault. Like, the whole reason you think that magic is cool is because your mind is fascinated with what could possibly be what secret are they hiding back there? It must be amazing. It must be so incredible. And you're like, no, it's this flap that you just move over, and I wait until you're looking over there, and then I flip over the flap. And you're like, well, that's dumb. Like, almost every single trick, when you hear it, you're like, well, that's dumb. And so why would you want,
Oh, what an interesting guy. That's great, Shane. Good work. You can see more of that interview if you like at the aussietechheads.com.au/specials page. And don't forget the Tom Merritt interview is up there. It's also on the YouTube as well. youtube.com/aussietechheads is our page. So, well done. There's probably another good 40 minutes to go on with the Brian Brushwood interview, and as I said at the end, make sure you watch it at the end where he does the trick. He takes you for a tour around his little studio where he's operating out of there in the interview, and it's quite interesting. So well done, Shane. Good on you.
Thank you.
No worries. How'd you like that one, Will?
So what's interesting is I thought I'd actually seen that, but it turns out I've only watched the end of it, where he does the trick and the tour and stuff. I haven't actually watched the start, so yeah, it was quite interesting.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, very interesting guy, talented guy. So good on you, Brian. And we thank Brian for his time, of course. All right, now.
So if any executives from 60 Minutes happen to be watching, just send me an email.
Yeah, there's any empty spots. Shane's he's looking for a job. All right.
He's available 6 nights a week. You can't even Thursday night at his house.
That's right. Any other night, go for it.
Go for it.
All right. Now, I don't know. I'll kick off with the stories. We better get into some stories. Now, through the week, I came across this story about woman claims to have solved the time traveller mystery. Now, a couple of years ago, it must be by now. Do you remember, Will and Shane, the old black and white footage of a woman in the 30s? Black
and white. Supposedly holding the mobile phone.
That's right. Yeah. If you YouTube it, you'll see it. It's probably only about 10-second footage or something. There's a woman that's taken from the 1930s. She's walking down on the footpath, and to what would seem is holding a phone up to her face, to her ear, and talking into it. So yeah. But anyway, the mystery of a young woman who appears to talk. I wouldn't call her a young woman. But the woman that talk on the mobile phone in the video footage from the 1930s may have been solved. Can you believe it? Apparently, she appears to be using a mobile phone as she walks out of the factory in the 1938 film, and it went viral in 2010. Now, the suggestions were that she was a time traveller, of course. Well, why wouldn't they? But Planet Check, whoever they are, the mystery could now be solved with a woman. Now, there's a lady that posted a comment on YouTube using the name Planet Check, claiming the woman in the film is her great-grandmother, Gertrude Jones, former factory worker. Here we go. Will's found the clip. He's just framing it up for us. And he'll play the clip, and I'll have a bit of a chat while he's doing that.
Well, that's the image there. You can see in the background she's supposedly holding a phone up to her ear. I'm not quite sure how they get that, but okay.
Yeah, well, she's doing something. Well, she's holding a hand up to her ear, and she looks like she's talking. Very poor quality footage, but anyway. This Planet Check lady said Miss Jones was 17 at the time, clearly remembers the event. It says it was her grandmother. She says DuPont, the company that reportedly owned the factory in the video, had a telephone communications section in the factory. They were experimenting with wireless telephones. Gertrude and 5 other women were given 3 wireless phones to test out for a week. And now, obviously, the skeptics have come out and said that they doubt whether such wireless technology existed in the 1930s. But the lady, Planet Check, claimed to have the experimental phone used in the film. Oh, there you go. She has yet to provide evidence of the phone's existence, or the comments have since been removed. So it's probably all pie in the sky, but it causes some controversy and something to talk about.
It's highly possible. I mean, people, the development process is always 10 years ahead of the release process, so it's entirely possible they had internal wireless. I mean, back then they had CB and two-way communication, so I don't really see it being that different. It's not like a mobile phone that you think of when you think of mobiles. It's just like a normal home phone that's cordless. So that's possible.
But anyway, yeah, I suppose. Now, look, we'll leave that one there in the 1930s, I think. Got another little one here. PC sales worldwide have tumbled. They've tumbled. Global sales fell 14% in the first 3 months of the year. Biggest fall since 1994. Wow, since this mob IDC started tracking the industry. So there you go. So that's big. Now, I don't know if you will agree with this, but I reckon PC sales are falling, not because it is partly because more people are going tablets and, mobile phone and all that sort of stuff. But my thoughts would also be that, the Windows 7 and Windows 8 will run on the same hardware as your old XP machine. So there's really no need to upgrade, really. So why would you?
And not even that. I mean, a lot of businesses that were using PCs for their desktops now are using dumb terminals and things like that. Or they're sharing, like they might have one system sharing 4 monitors and 4 keyboards and mice, so there's a lot of different ways of doing things now. And I mean, a lot of people are bringing laptops to work and using laptops on docking stations. So it's not really that, to me, it doesn't seem that strange that PC sales are dropping. I bet you if you look at usage trends, you'll find that hardware sales, not PC, but hardware componentry sales are going back up.
Yeah, I'd also like to see how these figures are moulded. Like, are they saying that the complete PCs have fallen?
Yeah,
so
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so what does that mean? Does that mean they're only surveying like Dell, HP, Acer? What about the guy down the street that builds his own, where you probably get more value for money?
That's what I mean. If you look at actual hardware sold, it's probably not a lot different.
Yeah, 76.3 million units were shipped, a figure that underlines the appeal of tablets and smartphones. Now, the IDC also said that traditionally companies replace PCs every 3 years, but during the economic downturn, this was more likely to be every 5 years. But still, if you got a machine running XP, it's going to run pretty much. It's going to run Windows 7 and Windows 8. So there's still no need to really go through the upgrade grief. Now, Apple apparently was,
apart from a warranty point of view.
Well, true. Apple was not immune from the decline. Some of the sales of its Macs appeared to be displaced by iPads. In the US, PC sales fell 7.5% in the quarter, but it held on to its spot as number 3 US PC manufacturer behind HP and Dell. So, yeah. So Apple, although lost, they're still in at number 3. Good on yous. All right. You got a story, Will?
Speaking of Apple, apparently Apple, and I have to show you this because I love the graphics. Someone's gone to a lot of trouble to make this. But basically, apparently, Apple allegedly cuts ties with Samsung. And as you know, Samsung has been making the A chips, the A7 chips processors for the Apple devices. And apparently due to conflicts in the companies, basically they're going to
hate
stop.
each other.
Yeah, well, there's that. Apart from the fact that Apple keeps trying to decimate Samsung, basically they're pretty much going to outsource. Well, Apple's going to take the contract off them and get them made in China, apparently. But Samsung owns the rights to the A7 processor, so that'll be interesting. What they're going to use, apparently it's going to be going to a 28 nanometer chip instead of the Samsung's 20 nanometer, because they've got it down to 20 nanometers now for the A7. So they're going to go back to the older 28 nanometer because apparently that's not covered by the thingy or something. So basically, yeah, Apple's making life. Well, Apple's being Apple, really. They're just trying to destroy a company that they're using as a provider, then go, oh, hang on, we probably shouldn't do that.
Well, yeah, it might be a good idea. Now, I think there's a couple of more little Google stories coming up later, but we forgot the tech history, Shane. What couple of little gems have you got for us this week?
Yeah, just let me scroll back up because I had my first story lined up thinking, we're not going to do the history this week.
Oh, keeping you on
All
your
right,
toes.
Right, so out of the squillions that I got out of the same place that I've been getting them from the last couple of weeks now, which is the Tech Chronology or Chronology of Tech from Tom Merritt, which is available for free download as long as you kind of acknowledge that it's his work, because it is, from archive.org. Anyway, so the first little snippet that happened during the week, April 4, 1975, Bill Gates and Paul Allen formed a partnership in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which was news to me until I read this. The venture was later named Microsoft, small little company that people probably haven't heard of.
It was back
next
then,
one.
wasn't it?
Yeah, there's only like 2 of them.
So 1975.
April 6th. Yeah. Which again, I knew it was like the 70s, but I didn't realise it was that early. April 6, 1992, Microsoft releases Windows 3.1. It sold for $149, which was expensive back then, and added support for sound cards, MIDIs, and CD audio, Super VGA 800 by 600 monitors, and support for the 9600 BPS bits per minute, or bits per second rather, modems. You know, the ones that go.
Wow. How does it? Okay, so 3.1. I didn't realise that the operating system hinged or dictated how fast your modem could go. I thought surely that would.
It doesn't. It was hardware based, but the hardware was the, you know, once the hardware got quicker, Windows 3.1 wasn't practical. So because it was only 16-bit OS, you could run. I mean, we used. I had, and actually I think I still have it in a cupboard somewhere, a Compaq 386 SX20. Oh God. It used to run Windows 3.1, and it might have been 3.11, and it was our mail server, and it used to work with you wouldn't work on a 56 because they were all PCI cards, but it would work on a 48.8 modem, which was still an ISA card. So yeah, you know, I think a lot of it was hardware dependent, but that thing used to sit in the corner and just do mail every day. That's all it did. And I think it's still got like a 50 meg hard drive in it.
Well, my first modem, I don't know about you, but my first one was a 1200. I upgraded to a 24. I went to the 96. I went to the 14.4. I think I paid, I had a Banksia 14.4 modem. I think I paid something like $700 for it. And
the Banksias were really good because you could flash update them.
Oh, I wasn't that smart back then, and still not.
You could go. I think I had an old Banksia that 14.4 that ended up going up to 33.6.
Yeah, right. Jeez. And then you had the 33.6, and then what was the next one?
50, 28. Yeah, 14.4, 28.8.
That's it.
33.6.
And 56.
Yeah.
4 or something.
And 56.
Yeah. So they.
And I actually my first modem was hardly a modem. It was actually a coupler. And it was on my Commodore 64, and it used to take the handset of the phone and it had this base with 2 rubber rings on it. And you'd actually take the handset and put it in the coupler for the modem, and it would actually use the analog system through the phone.
Oh dear! It's like on that movie War Games. Do they have the coupler on the War Games? Or what was that show with that robot? High Five, I'm Alive, or something? What was that stupid show? That movie? Oh, Will, you're too young. You're too young, Will. No,
number 5. I think it was.
Yeah, number 5. Short Circuit.
Yeah, that's him. Little
short circuit. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Now, just going back to 3.1, now this wasn't obviously the first version of Windows in 1992 because it's 3.1. Because I remember, I was going to say 3.1. I remember Windows 2, I think, being on 286s. I remember that quality software. Yeah.
Windows 2 was the first of the I guess you could call it multitasking operating system, where there was Windows 1, but it was effectively a coloured box over the top of the DOS prompt. And if you actually moved that window, you could see the DOS box scrolling in the background. So Windows 2 was the first sort of, I guess, multi-functioning GUI as Windows knew it. Although by this point, Apple had already had theirs out for a while. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
it probably just wasn't released between April 4 and April 11, so it didn't make the April week of the
didn't make the cut.
The history.
Probably.
That's right. And I think you got one more, Shane, in you this week in
I
tech.
do. April 10, 2003, British Airways and Air France announced the retirement of all Concorde supersonic jets. After a quarter of a century of supersonic speeds, passengers in the 21st century would go slower than those who flew in the 20th century. Now, it didn't say, I'm trying to wrap my brains, and maybe the chat room can help, whether this was around about the time that the British Airways Concorde had that accident, and therefore that's why they made the decision to actually ground them all.
That's my recollection. Yes. That's my recollection.
Actually, because
how things happened.
My boss is into aeroplanes and he's a plane spotter and stuff. He said from that one accident, the Concorde went from the safest plane on the planet to the most dangerous plane on the planet just from that one accident, mainly because they didn't fly them that often. So, one accident was quite a high percentage.
Yeah, I don't know why. Well, I suppose so. But but anyway, that's the way I recollect it as well. All right. Well, you can go straight onto a story if you want, Shane. What have you found this week?
All right. So the first one off your copy.
I just wanted to quickly say if you go to, I knew I found it somewhere.
Feel free to talk while I'm interrupting.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, just while we're still on the thing you're talking about, Windows 3.1. If you go to Michael V, so MICHAELV.org, This guy, he wrote it a few years ago. I've played with it a couple of times. It's literally a Windows 3.1 emulator. It's Java based, but it basically shows you all the joys that Windows 3.1 had to offer.
I remember Minesweeper.
It's pretty neat. It's got calculator.
Now, from one end of the spectrum to the other, and just quickly, because I know Shane's he's got that story there he wants to get out, but just quickly, now, Windows 8, now, I'm not sure if you know much about the Windows 8, but there's no solitaire. You've got to actually download it. Have you heard of this?
It doesn't surprise me, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's true. I've looked for it, and you have to go into the game section, like through Xbox or whatever, and download the solitaire for your Windows 8. Crazy. What's Microsoft doing? Crazy. Come on, let's go. All right, Shane, what do you got?
Sorry, Shane.
Well, that's right. I'm going home now.
Where is Shane? There he is. Okay. Go. Sorry, Shane. Go.
All right. So, first story: the Lutzig hacker pleads guilty to cyber attacks on Sony, NHS, Nintendo, US Police, and News International. A British I'll ask this question later. A British computer hacker affiliated with the group Lutzig Security pleaded guilty to cyber attacks on institutions including Sony, Britain's National Health Service, and Rupert Murdoch's News International. Ryan Ackroyd admitted one count of carrying out unauthorized act to impair the operation of computers. Prosecutors say that the 26-year-old accessed websites belonging to Sony, 20th Century Fox, the NHS, Nintendo, the Arizona State Police, and News International between February and September 2011. He'll be sentenced on May 14 at Southwark Crown Court in London. Other charges against him are being dropped. Three other British hackers, 18-year-old Mustafa Al-Bassam, 20-year-old Jake Davis, and Ryan Cleary, 21, had previously pleaded guilty to launching distributed denial of service attacks, which is what we spoke about last week, on organisations including the CIA and Britain's Serious Organised Crime Agency. Denial of, and goes on to explain what they are.
Now, these guys in England, they're not the only ones that are hacking away. Apparently, there's a 17-year-old Australian guy, alleged hacker accused of being associated with Anonymous, has appeared in Parramatta Children's Court today to answer some charges of illegally accessing computer data. Now, the AFP spokesperson told IT News the youth allegedly accessed both company and personal websites without authorization. Well, I suppose that's what you're going to do when you're going to hack something. It said the AFP said it executed a search at the youth's property last November, which resulted in charges of unauthorised modification of data to cause impairment, unauthorised access with intent to commit a serious offence, possession of data with intent to commit a... Geez, this guy wouldn't even know what some of these charges were, would he? He's done them and he wouldn't even know what they were. They're very involved. Possession of data with intent to commit a computer offence and unauthorised access to restrict data. Now, the suspected hacker faces a maximum 10 years in jail if convicted, and will face court again on May 17. I think he's 17 years old. He probably could have something better to do with his time. But, this sort of stuff has to stop somewhere, doesn't it? You can't keep hacking into computers for a living. It's going to have to stop somewhere. I don't know. What do you reckon? He's not going to... I doubt whether he get jail term, would he? 17? Unless he...
I mean, you got to give him some sort of punishment to deter him.
Yeah, I know. It's, I suppose, but you hear these stories every now and then, you know, these little hackers and that they hack into something and then they go to court, blah, 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 and then they'll get snapped up by some company and say, yeah, we'll pay you, $100,000 a year and just make sure our code's all right, please. Which is not bad, which is good. Maybe that was his ploy. Maybe this is his what do you call it? His application.
His career opportunity.
His job application. Yeah, all right. Now,
So,
yes?
the question I was going to ask about the story that I was reading about the guy from Britain, is that the same guy that they were going to let off the hook, or they were going to give him like a light sentence because he had some sort of disability and he wasn't doing it for malicious kind of reasons?
Wasn't much of a
I don't
disability.
know whether he was...
Well, he wasn't mental, was he?
Yeah, well, I don't know whether it was like... I have a feeling it was something like autism or one of those kind of. I don't mean to offend people, but the only kind of equivalent I can think of is like Rain Man kind of thing.
Yeah, Asperger's or something like that. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know. Does that really constitute the need to not punish a person? Maybe not that jail term, but maybe
in that situation it's a bit different because they don't generally realise they don't really comprehend what is happening outside of what they're doing. They get incredibly focused and incredibly pinpoint and ultra focused on one thing, and that's sort of what carries them. They don't sort of think about consequences. They don't have that mindset a lot of the time.
They're going to have to invent something for a computer like a governor has on a car. A car has a governor. So you put it on your internet line, and any code that resembles some predetermined set of code won't go through. But
we'll just send them to China. They've already got a great firewall in place for that.
Oh, okay, really? So,
the great firewall at China, yeah.
Yeah, look, I don't know. You can't probably send guys that have got some sort of disability to jail, but I think you could do something. You must be able to take their computer away or do something to stop this.
The best thing you could possibly do would be to actually use their talents and put them into doing something constructive rather than something destructive. They don't necessarily realise what they're doing is destructive. They're just doing what they enjoy doing. So if you can turn that pattern around and make it something constructive, you'll have the best minds in the business.
Well, apparently Australia continues to fall in global rankings on how ready business and governments are to benefit from using information technology. In 2013, Global Information Technology Survey produced by the World Economic Forum, or WEF, Australia ranked 18th of 144 nations, down one spot from the previous year, and from 9th place in 2004. So how's that? We were.
Did you see America dropped as well, though? Like, it's not just us. There's a few other countries dropping on there because some of the smaller countries and the countries we don't think of leaps and bounds ahead of us. So it's not necessarily that. I mean, okay, we're not improving, but we're not necessarily getting worse. It's just that other countries are making a much better job of it.
What countries would you put into that mix there? Would you put like Israel? They're going crazy, IT, aren't they, over there?
Yeah, Israel, Philippines.
Oh, Philippines, really?
Yeah, Philippines. I got a mate who does some of the stuff over there, and he says that the just amazing what they're up to over there at the moment. So
the nation's ranking for individual IT use rose one spot to 15th, but dropped 3 places to 25th for business use and down 11 positions to 19 for government use. Australian Industry Group Chief Executive Innes Wilcox, or is that Innes Wilcox, said this reinforces both the need for high-speed, ubiquitous broadband, but importantly, the critical need to invest in lifting the skills needed to gain the greatest benefit from this infrastructure. Now, Mr. Wilcox said businesses wanted all political parties to support the rollout of high-speed broadband infrastructure. Now, while we're speaking of high-speed broadband infrastructure, there has been squirms of NBN news this week. And they have been squirms. Look, you're probably under a rock if you haven't heard. The Coalition has announced their NBN plan, which to all intents and purposes is supposed to be slower. What do we think of that? And why have you got a picture of a disc up there? Oh,
that's the.
Okay,
that's their NBN plan.
Now, for those on audio, Will's just put up a double-sided 5 1/4 floppy disk, and on it it's been labelled the Liberal NBN press release. That's good on you, Will. Funny. Can you bring us up to speed, Will, with what's going on there?
Oh, no. And the reason is because I don't think they know. Like, it's just a slinging match at the moment. There's nobody on either side making any sense. It's literally just a case of, he said, she said, and it's neither side is benefiting in, their cause. on the one hand, they're saying, okay, let's do this because it'll help these people. On the other hand, they're saying, well, all we have to do is slow it down and suddenly be better. So, like, there's nothing.
Look, well,
and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what they do, because what they do, by the time they get it done, it's going to be so far out of date and so far behind that it's going to be irrelevant.
Well, now my uneducated opinion is that, okay, so I'll just explain it briefly to people who don't know. The Labor Party, the NBN, as it stands, as it's being constructed right now, is FTTP, which is fibre to the premise. So that's fibre to your home. So the fibre comes all the way from the exchange, goes all the way down the street, all the way up the street, all the way and blah, 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 all the way up into the little box into your house. That's the NBN. Fibre all the way, which will deliver, 100 megabits per second. Now, because it's fibre, apparently now...
Which is a lot of garbage, because everywhere else in the world that delivers a gigabit a second.
Yes, well, I was going to say, it's obviously going to be faster than 100 megabits because I think we did a story ages ago where, okay, so one strand, so the light that pops down that fibre optic cable that can deliver so many megabits or gigabits, we were saying, per second. But you can also make that light, make a different coloured light down the same pipe to deliver another, gigabit per second, say. And then you can do another colour yet again, and so on and so on. I'm not sure when it stops, but you get the idea. So anyway, all this is coming from straight from the exchange, straight to the box in your home. You're pretty much connected pretty fast to the world. I think that will do you or do us for quite some time, I would imagine. Now okay,
so just to expand on that quickly, basically what you can do is you can do up to 37 packets at once. This is on one single fibre. You can do 37 packets at once at 40 gigabits a second.
And how many strands would be in the cable? There'd be a few, wouldn't there?
Well, even on a small strand, it would be a lot. Like, I mean, the trunk lines that go to the exchange are thousands and thousands of strands, but even a small strand, I know the ones that ran out at the Port of Brisbane that serviced the entire Port of Brisbane was a 1/4-inch cable, it was 1/4-inch round.
Yep.
And that had enough. Well, that was the smallest cable they could get, and that had 10 times the capacity that the entire Port of Brisbane and Airport of Brisbane use.
So that sort of thing. Obviously, there's no doubt that fibre is the way to go. Now, the coalition's viewpoint or their plan, and hence it's cheaper, which comes in at, I think what the NBN, the Labor Party's version, is something like 44 billion, but the coalition's plan is supposed to be around about 29.5 billion. NBN's supposed to be Labor Party complete by 2021. Liberal Party, the coalition, 2019. Yeah. Now, their main difference with their NBN is that the fibre from the exchange, but it'll stop at the end of your street. It'll stop at the end of your street, and then it's going to keep going via the existing copper network, Telstra's copper network. So the copper network, as far as I can see, my uneducated view, copper is not going to deliver as much speed and as much throughput as fibre optic cable. It's going to be a lot slower.
It would be a good place to start, I guess. But I mean, just to put you how far away our goals are from what they should be. As an example, in Texas, both AT&T and Google are competing to build a fibre optic network, and it will deliver 1,024 megabits per second, or 1 gigabit per gigabyte per second to the home. So it's kind of an irrelevant argument, because our backbone, I mean, I'm on cable now. My download speed, and this is the thing they never talk about, my download speed now is 100 meg. That's fine. My upload speed as of tonight, which is another reason I'm having problems, is now down to 650k a second upload.
Yeah.
Which is atrocious. And
that's right.
You cannot find any information on what the upload is supposed to be on things.
Everyone is getting caught up in the. Look, it's supposed to be, as far as I know, it's supposed to be. I'm not sure if this is the right word. Asynchronous.
Asynchronous.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, which means if it can come down at 100, it can go up at 100.
But that's only what the exchange is supposed to handle. Both, like I've had this conversation with Optus, and they say they limit it. It doesn't matter how fast your connection actually is. Theoretically, I should be on a synchronous connection now with my cable network, and there's no reason they can't do it. But they limit it to a theoretical 2 meg limit to stop piracy. That's their excuse. And the thing is, even with this NBN, they're going to do the same thing.
Yeah, but the NBN I've heard, the NBN is supposed to be like 100 down, 40 up.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah, so
will it be?
Oh, who knows? But that's the thing. Like you need the up speed, because if you've got you can have 100 meg flying into your computer. So you've got say the hospital you click in to get an X-ray result or something. So you click into the doctor who's sitting in the hospital. He's charging down at you at 100 meg, and you're sending him 2 meg. Well, then you've still got that delay. You've still got the restraint.
Yeah,
so
that's right. And the other thing is too, not only that, but look at our international network. Our international fibre is peaked now. I mean, as you know full well, especially like streaming tonight, our download speed to the local exchange is 100 meg, but the download speed to, let's say, I don't know, LA is 4 meg. So it's irrelevant. Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of irrelevant internally anyway, because we've got the speeds in this country. It's not necessarily, I mean, okay, not everybody does. It will benefit the ones that are struggling, but the fact of the matter is all they're going to do is give everybody 100, well, let's say everybody gets 100 megasecond. Let's say everybody gets 50 megasecond.
Yeah.
Where's that going to go? That's not going to leave this country.
No, that's right. And that's
what it'll allow people to do. And I had this conversation with my boss today. Yes, you're not going to get, if you're the only person in your house doing something, you are not going to see the benefit of the 100 meg link that you'll get. But what it allows you to do, it'll allow me to do the podcast at the same time. The kids could be watching a movie at the same time. The missus could be doing something. So it allows more people to do stuff at the same time.
But then in saying that, though, I'd still bring up the same point that if you've got 10 people in the house doing something, they've still got to upload to say that their download had been received correctly. So they've still...
That's it. Even if you're downloading, you're still uploading.
So therefore, you could max that thing out if you're only on a slow upload. But anyway, Tony Abbott has denied that the internet speeds would be slower under their plan. 90% of households will get 50 to 100 meg download, and they will get it for 1/3 of the cost of Labor's broadband. That's what he has said. But look, I don't know. We need up speed. I'm going to have to go to the local member and voice my concerns, I think.
I mean, and it's entirely possible to do. As I said, I know Optus artificially cap it. They've told me they artificially cap it. And the annoying part is 4G isn't capped. 4G's whatever it is, 50 meg or whatever it is up.
Yeah. Well, that's right.
There's no excuse to have it artificially capped from a provider's end anymore.
The excuse that I got was when I sort of did some inquiries about it was that I think this was down the Telstra line of inquiries was, well, they don't want you to have more than 2 meg upload because then you could start your own ISP or something.
Yeah, well, there's that.
So, but anyway, look, but as Will said, you can jump on your phone. You get 4G in Service Paradise, 60 down, 60 up. So what's going on?
Yeah.
But anyway, let's move on. We can go all night on that sort of stuff. Will, what else did you have?
Alrighty. Now, I know people complain about the Android store being lax. And so what they've done, Google has actually they've decided to clean up. Then they've actually removed 60,000 apps from the Play Store.
Wow.
So Google has shown...
What criteria? Do you know?
Well, Google has shown the door to over 60,000 apps considered to be repetitive, spammy, or in violations of terms of service. So basically, the majority of the apps have been removed from 2 specific categories. They're from either... oops, wrong button. They're from either... applications from unknown developers or developers who have been reported or have black marks against them from previous infringements. And the second category is redundant or repeated apps. So a large number of the apps have been disappeared, like MP3 ringtone apps, which obviously, one, you don't need because you don't need a ringtone app to put MP3s on your phone. And also, they're violating the Google Play terms for duplication and things like that. And they also usually have backdoors into extra services like paid for use services and things like that. Sending SMSs for $11 for a ringtone, that sort of thing.
Yeah, right.
So
well, that's good.
They're doing a clean up. It's things like that. The average user probably won't even notice a difference. But you will notice that there is going to be a bit of a, there's probably only, I don't know, 20,000 fart apps now instead of 30,000. So, so that'll be good because I, need more room on my phone.
That's right.
But having said that as well, Google is also rolling out a new Play Store, a new look. It's much more streamlined. It's got larger images. It's a lighter theme. It looks a little sparse, but I think that's good because it opens it up a lot more. So that's good. And it's slowly being rolled out. At the moment, I think it's only in the US, but they are, as always, they are slowly rolling it out to the new places. Or you can actually do it yourself. You can actually, if you go to, just search for the new Play Store APK, you can find the link and you can actually download the link and install it yourself. But I actually quite like the look of the new one. I think it's much nicer.
Now, speaking of the new Play Store, did you know that the new Google Play Music Store has opened? So individual tracks start at 99 cents. Top songs around $2.19 or $1.69. Albums in the Australian store appear to range from $5.99 to $18.99. And I'll give you a quick look at what the Play Store looks like. Nice and clean and white there. The Google Play.
What are those prices like compared to the US prices, but?
You could compare them to iTunes, I suppose. They're not probably too bad. I don't really listen to. I use.
So they're not the same. So it's not like they're not the same prices. Like the same song isn't the same price both here and in the US.
Oh, I don't know.
Google's pretty good with a lot of that stuff. I got a mate in the US, and most of the apps he gets, or like we sat down and compared apps one night, and they're more or less the same price. It was actually quite amazing.
I would suggest that that's right, only being because where it says here in the article from Google that in the article from, where did we get this story from?
I mean, it may be different just purely because the labels want it to be different.
From Computer World, they've written here that they appear to cost $2.19. So I would imagine that if you're going to see $2.19, that's a converted rate. So I'd say that's going to be pretty much similar to what it is in the US. It's a US, I would imagine, US dollar amount converted to an Aussie dollar, $2.19 and $1.69. Like they're not pegging those.
It's just based on the conversion rather than their own. Yeah.
Now the Google Play Music service has included a number of Australian artists at launch, including Delta Goodrem, DJ Havana Brown, never heard of him, and Lisa Mitchell. For artists not signed to a record label, the service includes Google Play Artist Hub, a platform for independent artists to sell their music. Artists can create a profile, upload their music file, suggest a retail price, and sell their music on Google Play for a cost of $25. So that's pretty cool.
That's good. That's a really good idea.
That's probably going to start gouging the new MySpace. The Google Play Music service also allows users to upload their own personal music collection to a cloud, 20,000 songs. Sounds like iTunes. In addition to the Australian launch, Google has switched on the service also in Austria, Belgium, Ireland, Luxembourg, New Zealand, and Portugal. There you go. Get yourself into some Google Play. Now, if you want to know where you find that, I'm not sure how you do it, but you know how. But it's at play.google.com. So do yourselves a favour. What are you doing there?
And is the music DRM free?
Is it what? Sorry.
Is it DRM free?
I'd imagine so. I don't know. I didn't read that it was DRM'd, but
I would imagine because Google's like that. I would say it is, but that's only a guess.
Now, Shane, what else have you got over there? What tweaked your little fantasy in tech news this week?
What I might do is I might actually, while we're talking about Google and all that kind of stuff, this is kind of somewhat related. Plus D, what Google should be like, says WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. WikiLeaks has launched its own search engine at midnight. at midnight this morning. Yeah, that makes sense. Via Skype from the Ecuadorian embassy, where he's been held up for God knows how long these days.
He's been learning code.
He
They gave him a computer. That was bright.
Julian Assange unveiled a new search engine named Plus D, the public library of United States diplomacy.
Oh, jeez.
He really knows how to roll them up, doesn't he?
So,
Search engine is a portal to an archive of 1.7 million US diplomatic cables, which include 250,000 leaked State Department cables that were made public during Cablegate, the time in the US history where memos of Henry Kissinger and US Secretary of State were made public. And more than 250,000 of those cables relate to events or communications between 2003 and 2010. Assange confirmed that the US State Department documents listed in Plus D are already declassified, and as much of the information is already available in the US National Archives and Record Agency.
there's 2 million. Over 2 million.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I bet if you actually try to search for it on the US website, you'd never find it. It's actually a really, really well laid out website. I'm actually just looking at it now, and you can go down here and you can do all sorts of searches and everything. You can search for the Kissinger cables, and there's 1.7 million on that. Cablegate, there's 250,000 on that. You can search by creations, anything from 1966 to 2010, classifications, unclassified, confidential, secret, unclassified, official, etc. You can search by handling restrictions, so limited distribution or whatever, browse by tags or media organisations like The Age and things like that. It's actually amazing what you can search on here. It's brilliant.
And what's the address there, Will?
wikileaks.org/PLUSD, so /+D.
Yeah, right. Nice.
And what's this?
Amazing
what's
what you
that?
can do when you got plenty of time on your hands held up in a Ecuadorian embassy.
Embassy. That's
Yeah, well, you know.
well, what else are you to do, hey? What else are you to do? Now,
But, here we go. The US State Department, the Kissinger cables, 1973. It tells you the occurrences and where they come from, and yeah, okay. It's pretty neat, actually.
Cool.
I love the logo. You got Lincoln, you've got Obama, I don't know who the other ones are there, but yeah.
Bush,
It's pretty
Clinton.
neat. Oh yeah, Bush.
I don't know who that old guy is.
I don't know. That's an old guy, and that's a chick, so that'd be
That'd be Clinton, isn't it?
That'd be Hillary
yeah,
Clinton.
Hillary.
Yeah.
So I don't know who that is, but yeah, it's quite clever. I like it.
Good stuff. Well, look, I've got a couple more stories, and what I'm going to do is just go through them pretty quickly because we are at time. But I went to the trouble getting them, so you're going to hear them. Okay. Now, even though they're going to be quick. Now, Kogan wins first move against ISP1. Kogan has succeeded in its bid to stop mobile wholesaler partner ISP1 suspending users from the mobile service. So what happened was apparently there's a lot of users on the Kogan mobile system, which is the Telstra Wholesale, and apparently Telstra Wholesale just said, well, these 200 guys or whatever, they're using too much. Ping. You're not going. You're finished. Kogan was forced to offer compensation to customers after ISP1 kicked users off the service for overuse. Kogan said 200 customers, or 0.2% of the user base, were responsible for the overuse, blaming ISP1 for acting independently of the retailer and accusing it of breaching their agreement. It wants ISP1 to honour the contract and supply 50,000 micro-SIMs and 15,000 nano SIM cards to the online retailer as compensation for its actions. Oh, there you go.
Well, hang on. If it's 0.2%, did you say?
Or 0.2%.
Or 0.2%. So that means they've got, what, 20,000 users?
I read somewhere they had about 100,000.
Well, that does... If 200 people had the
200.
problem, and that's 0.2%...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that'd be... No, 200, so 1,000 is going to be 1%. So 10,000... Oh, yeah, that's right. So 100,000. Yeah, you don't mind me. Maths is hard.
Yeah, or especially when you're trying to talk. And now, Now, Patch Tuesday, Microsoft issues critical updates again, as it does every month on Tuesdays. Microsoft has repaired critical there's that word.
Vulnerabilities.
That's the one. In Internet Explorer and its Windows Remote Desktop client, fixing remote code execution flaws. The repairs address both client and server-side vulnerabilities, fixing issues in Windows, Windows Defender, anti-malware software, and SharePoint Server. The issues impact all versions of IE, including IE 10 on Surface tablets. Both of these issues were privately disclosed and they have not detected any attacks or customer impact. Microsoft also announced the support for Windows XP users will end next year. Microsoft said due to its age, Windows XP has higher malware infection rates than the other Windows versions. If they're going to stop supporting XP, Will and Shane, would you still be comfortable in using XP? But then why would you?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, if you've got a decent antivirus, you know. I mean, I use it on my netbooks.
Yeah, and plus, and also, you know, if you're running XP, there's more than likely you can probably upgrade to 7 or 8 anyway, unless it's a really.
Well, I've got a little Asus EPC 1.6 gig Atom processor, and it'll run XP. It won't run anything else because it doesn't have enough memory or enough hard drive. But it runs XP okay, and it's only when we take it when we go away. You know, just for if we want to watch a movie or something, we do it on that. So you know, it's fine.
Yep. Okay, Shane, did you have any stories that you had left over?
The only one that is a fairly lengthy story, but the gist of it is that Click Frenzy reckons that it'll be all right this year because they're going to be underpinned by firm Akamai to avoid any other sort of hiccups that they had the first year where the whole kind of web page fell over.
That's right. I think
that's it.
Yeah, last year they had their Click Frenzy when I think day one, wasn't it? And it just melted. Too many.
Yeah, it wasn't much of a frenzy.
That's right. It was a Click Frenzy. Okay, so they're that's good. They've teamed up with someone and they're going to make it clickable. Good stuff. Now, what else did you have there this week? You had that one. So, what was that? Vodafone plans to outpace Optus and Telstra, announcing fastest 4G mobile network. Geez, I don't know about that.
Yeah, to that one customer that they've got left.
Yeah. They're saying, Vodafone saying 20 megahertz network will be equipped to deliver downloads as fast as 150 megabits a second, 50 megabits faster than top speed on Telstra. Oh, well, whoopie-doo. As Will said, to one person. All right. Did you have any...
Basically, what they're doing with that is it's the width of the channel there. It's a 40 megahertz channel width bandwidth rather than 20 megahertz. So the theory is you'll get twice as much.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's not that it's any quicker. It's just the way it works is to able to deliver twice as much data. So it's common sense. It's not necessarily anything they've done.
Will, did you have anything else tonight?
Just quickly, I'd just like to read part of an email we received the other day, and it's a guy from an email from Dylan, and he basically says, "Great show. Listened to you blokes for a long time. Every week it's a great Aussie crew to listen to. I plug my iPad into the stereo via the auxiliary and pop on the TuneIn radio app, which is free, and listens to our dedicated channel, which allows him to obviously, you know, hear us all the time because he's like that. But he also says that." We were talking about the NFC mobile cards last week, the near-field communication, and he's saying that there are places now that actually use them to open up their storerooms and things like that because people always have their phones on them, and it's easier than issuing everybody with a security card because they've already got their phones. If you own that phone, then you have the security to get in there. So that's pretty neat. And also, the one thing he'd said last week when he was listening, when you offered a CD, as a prize, he basically when somebody suggested that maybe they should send us a blank CD instead, he lost the plot and couldn't stop laughing. So thanks Dylan for your email, and yeah, we love receiving feedback. We don't get enough of it. You can, you know, even if you tell us we stink, it's still feedback. So knock yourself out.
That's right. And and by the way, thanks for everyone that does take time to do feedback on the iTunes page as well. So yes, we do appreciate it. Now that CD that we were talking about last week was Justin Timberlake, 2020. Now I haven't mentioned it again because no one seems real interested in Justin Timberlake. So what we might we might do.
Here, look, I'll tell you what, I can top that. I have a CD here of a video I recorded back when I was in year 8. It's a school tour. So I might send you that one instead, eh?
Oh, we'll look out. We're going to have a click frenzy now. Everyone will want that one. Everyone wants it. So look. I don't know. I reckon. Okay, this is what you'll do. If you want to get the JT 2020, all right, just post something on the Aussie Tech Heads Facebook, facebook.com/Aussie Tech Heads. All right, paste something up there, anything at all, and or comment on the show in YouTube. All right, and we'll pick one. The best comment we'll pick, and that's how we'll do it for this week. So get picking.
Make it a comment about the interview.
All right. Okay. So you got that. So it's a comment about the interview. So and just again, don't forget the full interview is at the aussietechheads.com.au /
Hi, my name's Shane Johnston.
Oh, we don't want to play it again, Shane. And we will it can be aussietechheads.com.au / special. I know you like it. Come on. Now I've got.
And don't forget to check out our pages for the free paid apps and things like that as well. So you can see the one for Tuesday, for example, was what was that one? Lost Token. No, yeah.
Now the last couple of days, and apologies for not having the free app up, but because I do it from the iPhone, I just email that into the Facebook page. But my emails have been coming back for some reason. They've been bouncing back from Facebook. My goodness, are the Facebook going down? But I'll have to look and see why my emails are coming back there. But that free app of the day will be up. Look, you have to check it every day, because there's no point in checking it in 2 days' time, because that app will no longer be free. So you've got to check it every day. Just put us up in your news feed or whatever you have to do, however Facebook works, and so you get our little posts all the time. Then you'll be sweet. So it's Facebook.com Aussie Tech Heads, YouTube.com /Aussie Tech Heads, and don't forget that. Now look, I've got one more story, and then we can go back to Will, because I think he's still going over there. But I've got one more story about where I'll get me a little. Oh, I don't have a picture for this one. It's just a story. Whoopie-doo. Okay, Sydney gets real-time train apps. So for those of you in New South Wales, Sydney train commuters are now able to track in real time. Now this is pretty cool. I want this up here, not that I catch a lot of trains, but track in real time how far away their train is with their smartphone app. State Minister for Transport Gladys something unveiled 6 updated apps on Thursday that will have the real-time capability, which makes use of markers on stations that will receive information from trains and then pass it on to the apps. So good stuff. And I just want to thank the Sydney Morning Herald for that, because I just read all that. The release of up-to-the-minute information about where trains are on the network follows the release late last year of the bus timetable information. So there's 6 apps: TripGo, Triptastic, TripView, Arrivo Sydney, Hidden City, and Transit Times. Offers different features to customers and are free, as well as versions costing up to $2.99. The apps are available from the iTunes Store, Google Play, and Windows App Store. So you're covered. You're covered. If you're in Sydney, what are you doing without it? The apps will initially provide real-time location information for trains on the Western Bankstown, Inner West, Northern, Cumberland, Airport, East Hills, South and North Shore lines, as well as the eastern suburbs and Illawarra lines to Heathcote. There you go. That's pretty cool. How's that? You can be standing on the station, and you can look at your phone and you can say, "Oh, the train will be here in 2 minutes." It's cool. That's cool. All right, let's. Will, how are you going to? What do you got to finish off?
A couple of things quickly related with transport in Brisbane specifically, or in Queens. Well, yeah, Brisbane mainly. One is what we use, the Go Card for the Translinks. Originally, Go Card, the idea is it's a card you swipe. It gives you discounted fares because you're not, using it, talking to a real person. Now, what they're doing is they're upping the deposit on that card from $5 to $10, because they've figured out that what people are doing is buying a card for $5, using it on the air train, which takes you from the CBD to the airport, which is actually a $15 trip, but because you have credit on your card, it accepts it. So what they're doing is they're buying a card for $5, swiping it, and taking the train.
Fair enough,
they've
too.
decided to bump the fees up on that so that people stop doing that. The other thing that is going up is was it 18 months ago, 2 years ago now, they opened 18 months ago, I think they opened the airport link. which is a new tunnel that goes from the CBD out to the airport. And basically what happened was when it opened, it was free, and they had 50,000 vehicles a day or something. Or actually, I think when it was free, they had closer to 100,000 vehicles, and then they introduced the first toll, which was $1.60 or something, and it dropped down. They've introduced the second toll, dropped down again. Now they're down to 47,000 vehicles a day, and it's currently $3.75. It's going to go up again. It's going to go up $5 to $8.75.
What? It's going up
for
$5?
a one-way trip. Yeah. So it's going to cost $8.75 from October 18th. So it will cost that much to go.
Yeah, what route is this? Sorry, Will?
From basically the Brisbane to the airport via the tunnel. So basically what's happening is they're getting less and less traffic, so they keep put the pricing up.
Well, that's not going to work,
now,
is it?
To me, that seems a little bit counterintuitive. Because it's a trend. Every time they put the price up, less people use the tunnel. Okay, so let's put the price up. So less people use the tunnel. Oh, let's put the price up again. So now there's already a thing out. Taxis, as of October, taxis won't use it. They've already said they're not going to use it. Buses and emergency services are exempt from paying the toll, so they'll continue to use it. And that's probably going to be about it.
So I went on that tunnel, and so I got onto it at the south side of Brisbane, and then come out.
So you got it on at Wollongabba. So you went through the Clem 7 and on the airport link. So it would have cost you, I think it was about $1.60 on the Clem and about $2 on the airport link. So it would have cost you, $3.60, something like that.
Yep. And then it's going to cost me basically. $8 each way.
And now it's going to cost you $8. No, that's just for the airport link.
Yeah, right.
You still got to pay the $1.60 on the Clem, but now you're paying close on $8 on the airport link.
Yeah, look, I was only just saying this morning, like Kim was going to take the kids up to Brisbane, and go and see the Science Museum or something. She goes, "Do you reckon I should drive or take the train?" And I went, "You know what? It's cheaper to drive. When you got so many people going, she had her, another friend, and then the two kids. It's cheaper to drive, which is
you can drive.
Not right.
Just stay away from the toll roads.
Yeah, but still.
And actually, I did it the other day. If you leave in the morning, from where we are, I can either go Ipswich Motorway, Clem 7, Airport Link, Gateway, and Northside out that way. But it's actually quicker for me to take the service roads around through Brisbane and to go that way than it is to take the toll roads anyway. So.
Yeah, it's rubbish. It's rubbish. I was impressed with the tunnel, but it's rubbish. I'm glad I don't have to use it every day. It's what?
Yeah, it's pretty cool the first time you go through it.
Yeah, but not at $8. All right.
If you drive around the city, you've got the Gateway Bridge, you've got the Go-Between Bridge, you've got the Goodwill Bridge, you've got the Clem 7 and the Airport Link, plus the Logan Motorway, the two tolls on there. So if you do one lap of the city, it costs you $16.
What a joke.
Just in tolls.
It's a joke. It's a joke. Yeah, well, yeah. So as I said, cheaper to drive and pay for parking than, I think, what is it, each way from us up to Brizzy, $10 for an adult. So there was $40 straight up, and then I think we had to pay for one kid. So that's, say it's $10 up and back, so $50. $50, in train.
I remember when I was living in Geelong and working in Melbourne, which is an hour on the express train, or it's an hour and a half if you get the normal train, and it was $6. So
all right. Okay. Any more, Will? Or you've
no, that'll do us.
Emptied out. So you can see more stories that don't make it to air on the aussietechheads.com.au/podcast. And look for the show notes. You won't see Will's because he doesn't do any. So
yes. Sorry, that's because I work and
Oh, look, that's all right.
I work as well.
That's all right, Will. You go better when you're ad-libbing anyway. when you know what you're talking about. We don't. I need prompts.
The problem is if I put all my stories up, it appears like everybody else has the same stories. If I just work around the other stories that are coming out, that's not a problem.
That's right. You're like the fullback. You just work your way in and out as you need. All right. So I think, Shane, you're done with stories. I think.
Yep.
Cool. All right, so don't forget, we didn't mention anything about our backup month this week, but don't forget, back up your computer. If you haven't got a backup regime, do it, okay? You got to do it, otherwise you're going to lose something. Before you buy a new computer, before you upgrade a computer, one of the best things that I do is I make a copy or an image of the hard drive. You can do that. Buy another hard drive, make an image of your own hard drive. That might be a more simpler way for you. I use Ghost. I think it's up to Ghost 15 or something like that. That's what I use. I know there's others out there, Acronis, I think it is. That's another good one. Will, any thoughts on that sort of stuff?
There's it depends on what you want to do. There's some have more features, some allow you to resize drive partitions and things like that. But I mean, there's free ones if you just want to do a ghost image, or you just want to do an image of the drive. If you want to do, there's numerous things. But the main rule to remember is the 3-2-1. You need 3 copies of a file in 2 locations, and one of those has to be online. That's the easiest way to remember how to do your backup strategy, and that way you're always going to have at least one of those. That's right. Now, why would you want to clone your drive, you might ask? Well, you reformat your computer, or you get it from the shop and it's all brand spanking new, nice and fast. You clone your drive to another drive, and then you start installing all your stuff from the internet and start doing all this sort of stuff. And then you might install some malware, you might install something that might crash something. So then you go, I've got the original image from when I bought it. So you load it back on. It takes about 20 minutes or so. Depends on the size of the image, but about 20 minutes, and then it's back to new. Easy. So have a look at Ghost. I actually have a Linux. I can't think of the particular flavor of Linux off the top of my head, but it's a live boot disk, and it's on a external hard drive, USB hard drive, and I can actually plug that in. It actually boots up into a live version of Linux, and then it shows me the 2 drives, and it allows me to either copy them across or fix them or whatever I want, all from a GUI. There's no typing, no nothing. It's just all pretty and nice. Usable. Now, that just reminded me of a quick tip while I think of it. But I come across a fantastic new TV show. Now, if you want to watch a great show, wherever you get TV shows from, Foxtel, Hulu, or whatever you do, Lizard Lick Towing. Go and have a look at that. It's bloody brilliant. Lizard Lick Towing. Have a look at it. It's a fantastic, great show, and Will, I'm sure you will really like it. All right, now thank you to at the top of the show at 7 o'clock or roundabouts, depending how long their show goes for. Techwebcast.info, always before our show. Thanks also tonight. We had before the show the episode of the Geeksphere.tv, the episode that carked it last week when we were replaying it. So good on you boys over there. What else? That's about it. If you want to email us, Eric, Will, Glenn, or Shane at aussietechheads.com.au. Just email away like yous do, and we'll read some out on the show, like Will did tonight, if we think of them. Now, also, if you want to Skype in, yes, Will, I felt an interruption. No, you're right. I was about to mention Skype. We would normally do that. We're having a few technical issues the last couple of weeks, but we'll get on top of that, I promise. Yep, so why not, while Will's getting on top of that, or while we're fixing it all up, why not just jump into Skype and friend us up, Aussie Tech Heads? Is that what you call it on Skype? Handle us up, contact us, send a contact, I don't know. Well, now that Microsoft, that's a show to mention too, Microsoft Messenger's gone away now. Yeah. And all except in China or some crap. Yep. Microsoft Messenger's gone away, so yeah, they're using Skype, they're integrated into Skype, and yeah. That's right. Now, I'll go through the web pages really fast. I think this is the best way I can do them. AussieTechheads.com.au/live for the live show every Thursday, /radio for the Shoutcast radio with all those great shows on there, new shows every week, /specials, Tom Merritt, Brian Brushwood, more to come, and /hosting. All right. Twitter, you get us on at Aussie Tech Heads for me. Shane is at Shane with a Y, 1973. Will's at Mr. Tompkinson. Eric at Eric with a K, Franco. And if you want the news, at Aussie Tech News. All right. Gas Reviews will be back next week. Thanks for everyone that jumps on the website. You love us so much. You buy us a cup of coffee. Appreciate it. I love it. I love the lattes. Beautiful. Thank you. I can't give them to the other guys. They're not here. If they were here, I'd shout them. Or you'd shout them. No, you wouldn't. No, you'd hide them in the cupboard and you'd give us a lousy VB or something instead. Oh, turn it up. A lousy VB. Turn it up. Is it as beer? Oh, no way. That's great. All right. So this weekend, go Sharkies. What else, Will? That's it? You're finished? I think that'll do us. I think Shane's finished. You finished, Shane? Good?
More interviews soon. 2 weeks.
Yep.
2 weeks, and we get another interview out of Shane. He's doing really, really well. They're great interviews, very entertaining. So until then, I think I've covered everything. Whew, what a show. All right, see you next week. Bye-bye for now.
See ya. Bye.
See ya.